Casting its management staff or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Hold on to your butt.
What the hell are we doing here?
We are behaving the way a superpower ought to behave.
Well, our behavior has produced some crappy results.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
That's how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me.
Shut up, silly woman.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon here on a beautiful Monday. A little brisk, a little chilly. I gotta tell you folks, I'm running a little behind today because I'm in the middle of a move and all my stuff is not in its normal spot. So I'm relying on artificial intelligence. It's not like I have enough native intelligence myself. I really don't. Some days you just run out of hard drive space. So now I'm going to rely on artificial intelligence today. I just got access to GROK on Twitter X, on the Twitter X platform. Apparently, GROK is up and running, and all I did today was type in, "Hey, GROK, what are the top political news stories today?" You know, I don't have an Eddie today as a sidekick. Sky had to go do things as well, so my sidekick is now artificial intelligence, a large language model system going on here. So GROK responded and said, "Greetings, human. Today's top political news stories are as follows. President Biden's handling of the Israel-Gaza war is under scrutiny as he faces criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. Former President Trump has declined to testify in a New York fraud trial, and his legal troubles persist. The House of Representatives is set to formalize an impeachment inquiry for President Biden, while congressional aid for Ukraine hangs in the balance. A new Iowa poll shows former President Trump with a commanding lead over his Republican rivals. And the COP28 or COP28 climate talks have entered a critical phase, with the UAE's green-powered action plan and President Biden's climate policies being closely watched. And those are the top 5 stories from GROK, the brand new AI there on Twitter. And actually, as far as AI programs go, I have to say, this one seems to work very, very well. I'm impressed by GROK. You can put it on fun mode. You can ask it to roast you. It'll make jokes back and forth with you while giving you the information. If you correct it, it's pretty entertaining because it's not perfect yet. But I found that interesting, and that largely is, genuinely is, the top stories of the day. But I noticed GROK missed a story that had to do with the X platform. And that story is Alex Jones is back. He's back on the platform. He's been unbanned. And not only was Alex Jones unbanned over the weekend, he now has something like 1.1 million, maybe higher, followers now on the X platform. But Alex Jones was invited to have a conversation with Elon Musk on the Twitter Spaces. And all sorts of folks jumped in. You know that shiny bastard, but he's ours. Matt Gaetz, he jumped in on the party. Vivek Ramaswamy jumped in. And so many others jumped in wanting to be part of this amazing moment in conversation. Now, I have no problem if you don't like Alex Jones. In fact, I saw somebody I like very much bemoaning the fact that Jones is being hailed as a champion of free speech, especially given what he said about Sandy Hook. But when you ban somebody that big, and it's the same mistake the Democrats continue to make with Donald John Trump. It's why his numbers are so good in this new Iowa poll. When you make a martyr out of someone, you are probably going to make them a champion for a given cause. In the case of Alex Jones, it's a champion of free speech. Whether you like it or not, the man was banned. He had tens of millions of followers, listeners, watchers, a huge audience, and they didn't go away, and they didn't forget. Now, it'd be one thing if this happened right after all the lies and all the nonsense surrounding the Sandy Hook shooting, Jones was banned outright. That would at least make sense, but that's not how it happened. That's not how it happened at all. It was actually several years later when Jones confronted a reporter named Oliver Darcy that this ban happened, and Elon confirmed it in the conversation yesterday. But why is this important? Because Jones was the first guy they were trying to bring down. Why? Because, again, he had tens of millions of listeners, followers, a massive audience, getting up there even maybe bigger than Rush Limbaugh when Rush was in his prime. Number two, Alex is, he's been right about a lot of stuff, and on a lot of stuff that's really odd. Like, how did he call that? How did he see that when nobody else did? Which, in a way, can make him a dangerous person. But this is a very big deal in the sense that you're now seeing Twitter, the X platform, as it's now called, is going to be a bastion of free speech, open debate, I think a dynamic back and forth information space, and the prestige media, the legacy media, that is slowly dying. Don't call them mainstream anymore. Those weirdos aren't mainstream. They're a weird little clique of folks who until recently ruled the world. No longer. We're about to see the rise of free information, and it can't come at a better time. Can't come at a better time as we head into 2024. Now, I'll give you a little preview of what happened. It was actually like a 2-hour conversation where Alex Jones and Vivek and Elon and Mario and Patrick Bet-David and Benny Johnson and all these, Jack Posobiec, all these folks that are big there on the Twitter spaces. Well, this is what Elon had to say about Media Matters. It's making a lot of people happy that, well, Elon, I think he gets it.
An evil propaganda machine. So I just generally...
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, Media Matters is an evil propaganda machine. So I just generally am against evil propaganda machines, and so we are suing them in every country that they operate. And we will pursue not just the organization, but anyone funding that organization. I want to be clear about that. Anyone funding that organization, we will pursue them. So Media Matters is an evil propaganda machine. They can go to hell.
Amen. Elon putting it down where the goats can get it. That's pretty straightforward from that guy. And he kept saying throughout the cast to try to get people's attention, when you hear public relations, this PR firm, that PR firm, their job is literally propaganda. In fact, public relations is a propaganda word for propaganda. Propaganda isn't propaganda, it's just public relations. I mean, don't you want to have a media strategy if all of a sudden there's a big dust up and you have millions of dollars at stake, if not billions for your company or your country? Don't you want a strategic way of going about these things? But it's beautiful to see, yes, very rich, powerful people breaking bad with the other rich, powerful people. We need more intrepid innovators and people willing to stick their neck out in order to get the job done. So Alex Jones is back. I can't believe GROK missed that. I guess it's already old news at this point. But when you go into this Iowa poll, it's actually pretty interesting. Trump is leading by a massive, massive amount. Like, Nikki Haley's up. DeSantis, though, is up from that last debate. This is from the Des Moines Register. They're locally in Iowa. Donald Trump's support now tops 50% in Iowa. where the former president has strengthened his already overwhelming lead over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, neither of whom has fully broken away as the clear second choice. A new Des Moines Register NBC News Mediacom Iowa poll shows 51% of likely Republican caucus goers picked Trump as their first choice for president. That's up from 43% in an October Iowa poll. DeSantis, who was tied with Haley at 16% in October, has gained 3 percentage points to pull away from her in second place with 19%. Haley has seen a burst of momentum in Iowa between August and October, growing her share of support from 6% to 16% following well-received debate performances. Or just a bunch of money. And here's the deal. I think Vivek's at 5, Chris Christie is at 4 there in Iowa. Number one, I think in the case of Vivek, my guy I'm supporting, can't wait to vote for him on Super Tuesday. I think he'll get there here in Alabama. Is number one, Vivek's already he's going for the folks that are already backing Trump. I think most of the support that would be going to Vivek Ramaswamy is now in that 51% for Trump, and that shouldn't shock you. So the question was always, who's going to be the alternative? Who's going to speak for the never-Trumpers? Who's going to speak for the Mitt Romneys of the world? And for a while, people thought they could, square that circle and get a guy who sounds populist, who's done a great job in his state, Ron DeSantis, but didn't quite nail it. So Nikki Haley has become the poster child for the not Trump option. But even with those two, Haley and DeSantis, what is it? I'm doing math on air that's always dangerous. 35% goes to them together. Only 35%. That's not enough to unseat Donald John Trump. There's nowhere near enough. And I think as we head on into 2024, no matter the indictments, that, by the way, is also one of the top stories, that President Trump has declined to testify in a New York fraud trial. And, of course, the legal troubles are ongoing. I think Trump said something to the effect, they've already prejudged me. They know what's going to happen. Fox News running a big poll showing Nikki Haley up against Joe Biden. Nikki Haley would really cream him. I'm sure she would. Because she's that perfect type of moderate. What this country needs are big and bold changes. What this country needs is, yes, something akin to a political revolution. Put it another way, what this country needs is a reframe. The last time we really had a reframe was in, say, the 1930s into World War II. That's when most of the government as we know it is created. The Administrative Act, the creation of the national security state. So much of what our government is known to do got started there under a guy that essentially acted like an emperor, FDR. He had the rubber stamp of Congress, his party. He could pretty much do what he wanted. Start up departments, close down departments as he wished. He pretty much was able to reign as he wished. And that's honestly what he told folks in his inaugural. And despite some pretty good presidents, some big elections, Nixon won by a lot. Reagan won by a lot. Obama won by a lot. Despite all these victories, though, and big names and presidents, we haven't had a true reframe of this country in the same way the New Dealers brought it about. So is it going to be a new deal? We're going to go down the road of a Green New Deal, or all these climate change agendas being foisted on the public? Are we going to all of a sudden jettison liberty and justice for all and go to equity and justice for all? Which, by the way, is an eternal problem that can never be solved, so the people put in charge to solve that problem that can never be solved will always be in charge. Gotta love perpetual problems that never really have a solution. Just, tomorrow, and tomorrow. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. We'll get into more of the details of what's going on in the House of Representatives with this impeachment vote. More of what's going on in Alabama. There's a new Forestry Association poll showing former State Senator Dick Brubaker ahead in the GOP primary. Over still half, though, of this brand new District 2 is undecided, according to that forestry poll. It also looks like Attorney General Marshall, Steve Marshall, the great state of Alabama, has signed on to an effort to put the New York Times, CNN, Reuters, AP, and other media types on notice about providing material aid to terrorist groups. And, our senators, Tuberville and Brett, have a lot of important things to do and agendas to push. But right now they're pushing back against Crimson Tide football playoff critics. Good to know where Alabama's priorities are. Hey, but they'll probably win. Let's go to line one. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hola.
Hey, Eric. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. You were talking about the basically propaganda, and I've been doing some studying. And World War II, they had the what they call the father of public relations, which is how they started trying to get information out to people about the positive spin on war and cigarettes and all that kind of stuff. You know, his uncle was Sigmund Freud, and he used a lot of that, a lot of his ideas in his advertising campaigns to sell things to the American public. And it actually transferred over into media and journalism to try to sell. The papers picked up on it, and it's pretty interesting how that stuff all started. But an advertising campaign for cigarettes are what kicked it off in the 1929 or something like that. But Edmund Bernays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, was it to show women in particular that Smokey was cool? He also had the angle that Smokey was healthy, right? Yeah, 9 out of 10 doctors say. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, they called them liberty torches to show that women weren't oppressed.
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
Well, and also what's fascinating with propaganda, Eric, is how it has to become and has become more and more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Americans like to think we're not. We get told the truth. And, yeah, right. We're the most propagandized people on earth, even more than the Chinese population, I think.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with you, especially, you know, when you get a version, when you control all the information, you can spin it however you want to. And that's one thing that they're really, I think that's why they want to go after the internet, is so that they can have a control on what information gets disseminated and what light it gets cast in, and what you're able to run down and track. And it's unfortunate. That's one thing I like about 1819 News, is they're at least trying to do, and some other people out there are trying to do the old, what do you call that, those investigations, those things where they go in, they do deep dives, and they chase down sources, and they find paperwork, and they find whistleblowers, and all this type of thing. It's really, if you go back and look at some of this stuff, and I'm looking at a lot of this on YouTube about Snowden in the 80s, where we had a lot of those people went crazy with the spying and selling secrets to the Soviets and Chinese from the Navy and other things, and what they found and all that kind of stuff. And I think we are probably more propagandized than any other country in the world. And, you know, it's unfortunate that they just can't tell us the truth. They have an agenda, and they want us to buy into it, because ultimately, you know, people just turn on the tube, and then whatever they say, that's what you get. And there's no real understanding of why we're there or how we're there, or, you know, like even in these recent conflicts and stuff. Do you know how Hamas was started? Do you know what generated that? Do you know why they are the way they are? You know, and, you know, America goes in someplace, and we automatically look like the bad guy, or the good guy rather. You know, that's how we get portrayed in the stuff. But if you look at the people that are getting invaded, you know, we look like Germany to the Poles. You know, so it's a matter of perspective, and it's unfortunate that we can't be honest with the American public. And
Eric, I know you've been asking me a lot for books, things you could read. On the issue of propaganda, I would highly recommend, what is his name? Jacques Ellul, Ellul.
You got to text me that, buddy.
Yeah, Jacques Ellul, and he wrote a book called Propaganda, The Formation of Men's Attitudes. And he lays out it's a damn good case he makes, that the power of the media is another example of technology exerting control over human destiny. As a mechanism of change, the media are almost invariably manipulated by special interests, whether of the market or the state. And so he gets into the whole idea that, public opinion isn't this organic thing that naturally occurs. It's something that you massage. It's something that you water. It's like a garden that you grow, and money and media is a good way to do it.
Yeah, Wag the Dog is a documentary on propaganda.
Exactly right.
All right, buddy. Well, you have a nice day, and I hope Eddie gets back soon. I don't know what his problem is taking all this time off.
He actually had a really good reason today, and I can't go into it, but he's got a very good reason.
We love him. If we didn't like him, we wouldn't give him nothing. Wouldn't give him a hard time.
Well,
but you look good today, Joey.
What?
Got that going for you.
I guess
I don't have the stream up, so I'm
thanks for that. That's very sweet of you. Very, very sweet.
All right, buddy. You have a good day.
Thanks, Eric. And Eric the dog, 272-9228 if you want to jump in on the conversation. And now I'm looking at the live stream. We are now live streaming the show on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, also on YouTube at The Joey Clark Live, or at The Joey Clark on Twitter, X, Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like and subscribe either way, folks. And the comments are already rolling in. Like, I can't win. I can't please these folks. The Romex Angler, what is he saying? I can give you a few dollars towards a haircut if you're short. No. Like, what? Do you like chicks with buzz cuts too? Good afternoon to you, Sam. Gumtown John, X gonna give it to you. All right. Afternoon to everybody. Afternoon. Everybody's just saying their hellos. Romex Angler goes on and says, I vote to impeach Eddie Bader. He's had too many vacation days. No, like I said, he had a pretty good excuse today. Before we hit this break, and coming up, have a great message. As you're seeing with all these Ivy League presidents, how they couldn't quite seem to answer the question about anti-Semitism, say, calling for the genocide of Jews. They couldn't quite make up their mind on how they would treat that. Is that a contextual speech issue? Or is that going to be like, one of those microaggressions that you also kick somebody out for? Is that the new rule now? That you can call for the genocide of an entire race? Heck, you can call for the genocide of the entire human race. And that's context-dependent speech. Actually, it is. But if you say a word that somebody takes the wrong way, a microaggression, so-called, then your life is to be ruined and you have to be kicked out of the university system. It's interesting where things are going there, but there's an amazing speech that I want to share here when we come back. One of Vivek Ramaswamy's old buddies, a law professor there at Yale, and his message on this, I think, is right over the target. But before the break, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting, and they're at River Region Contracting. Well, they're a premier roofing contractor, and they're ready to help you. Now, owning a home, probably your most expensive and most long-term investment, and a big part of your home is obviously the roof. And so whether it's an asphalt or a metal roof, you should get it inspected every 3 to 5 years for basic preventative maintenance. Per the manufacturers out there, most asphalt shingles only last 12 to 18 years without an inspection. It's probably a lot faster than that if you're not treating them in this summer weather, the hot summer southern days, or in the winter, kind of the extreme weather going back and forth. Maybe there was a storm recently rolled through, a branch that broke, fell on the roof. You're a little worried that it's caused a problem. Here's the great news. When you call River Region Contracting at 356-8635, that inspection is free. Also, the estimate, if they find a problem, is free. They're also insurance specialists. So if they do find a problem your insurance might cover, they can walk you through that claims process, make it an easy and swift experience. So if you want to just have peace of mind about your roof, or you got a problem, as a matter of fact, call up Todd Clark and his team today, 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. More News and Views after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Craving a taste of the holidays that's as sweet as it gets? Look no further than Sweet Creek Farm Market, your ultimate destination for one of the area's largest selection of locally grown pecans, irresistible pecan products, and delicious homemade treats. Roasted and salted, honey roasted, classic pralines, chocolate honey baked, or creamy white chocolate pecans. Don't miss the double chocolate bourbon pecan pies. Your family will love the homemade pies, cakes, and candies in more flavors and varieties than you've ever seen. Stop in the cafe and try Sweet Creek's award-winning barbecue or show-stopping peach cobbler with ice cream. After you eat, shop their charming selection of gifts, including many Alabama-made products. Unique gifts and sweet treats will be a hit with your loved ones. Whether you're looking for a hostess gift or a stocking stuffer, Sweet Creek Farms has what you need. Like them on Facebook or stop by their location 2 miles south of Taylor Road on Highway 231. Merry Christmas from Sweet Creek Farm Market.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prival Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
The fall sale is on, and there's never been a better time to upgrade your floors. During Prattville Carpet's biggest sale of the year, find deep discounts on Mohawk flooring for every room in your home, plus interest-free financing with approved credit. Get new floors before the holidays with huge discounts. Visit PrattvilleCarpet.com or call 285-8117 today.
Prival Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Hi there, I'm Madeline Cannon with Alabama Home Mortgage. Getting pre-approved is the first step towards home ownership. People are often scared or nervous about taking that first step, but I'll tell you, it's nothing to be scared of. At Alabama Home Mortgage, we will take the first step and every step along the way with you. Call us at 567-4223. We will gather the information needed to tell you exactly what you qualify for. After a call to Alabama Home Mortgage, you will know what price point to shop for, what down payment is required, if any, and what your monthly mortgage payment will look like. We take all the guessing out of it. Then, when you find the house you want to make your home, you are ready to make an offer. Along with your offer, you will submit your Alabama Home Mortgage pre-approval letter. This shows sellers that you've already taken the steps necessary to ensure that you qualify to purchase their home. Wait no longer. It's time to take that first step together. Call me at 567-4223 or start the process online at myalabamahomemortgage.com.
That's Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster.
Hey man, what's happening?
Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money?
Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man.
Your money man?
With the money plan.
I see.
So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know?
I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest.
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
And he has a website at retirewithernest.com.
Hey, you're on top of it today, man.
I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting.
Yes. I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air.
Why were you taken off the air?
Too much foul language, man.
Oh, my.
So I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. In live stream of the show, Joey Clark Live on YouTube at the Joey Clark on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. And again, given I have no help today, no sidekicks, no producers, I'm using GROK, the artificial intelligence bot there for Twitter or the X platform. And so initially I asked GROK about the top political news stories of the day. Now, During the break, I asked GROK what are just the top news stories in general. Number 1, a suspected Chinese spy balloon was shot down by the U.S. Air Force off the coast of South Korea. The Supreme Court in 3 states heard cases on abortion access this week. In South Korea, the president of Harvard University is facing calls to resign following the congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. Number 4, the U.S. F-16 fighter jet crashed. A U.S. F-16 fighter jet crashed into the sea of South Korea's southwestern coast. In Japan, oh wow, Miyazaki's, if you don't know Miyazaki's cartoons, they're amazing. If you got kids, depending on the age, but I highly recommend Miyazaki's movies. But apparently, Miyazaki's final film, called The Boy and the Heron, has hit number 1 at the North American box office. Number 6, the World Health Organization has reported that Gaza's health system is collapsing. It's not a shock. And in Argentina, Javier Milei was sworn in as the country's new president, and his first act as Argentina's president was to sign an executive order cutting down the Argentinian government from 21 agencies to 8. Vivek Ramaswamy shared that and said, a preview of what's coming here in the United States. But back to the story about, well, the president of Harvard facing calls to resign. I believe the president of UPenn, I think that's right, resigned. So some of these folks are feeling the shame. But honestly, it is speech, even awful calls. But it's one thing to say freedom of speech in certain situations when you haven't been consistent at all. Now, I want to go to a guy who, well, says it a lot better than me. His name is Jed Rubenfeld. Harvard and Yale shouldn't fight anti-Semitism by expanding speech codes. They should do it by embracing true free speech itself. So I'm going to go to this guy, Jed Rubenfeld. I think he does absolutely nail this right here.
I have a professor here, as you all know, at Yale, who immediately went on social media to praise, justify, and celebrate the atrocities of October 7th. She called it an extraordinary day. She said that all Israelis are legitimate kill targets for Hamas. You all know that's what Professor Graywall said. Every Israeli man, woman, and child is a legitimate kill target. But to me, that's bloodthirsty. That's homicidal. That's in fact genocidal. Hard to describe it any other way. And tens of thousands have called for her to be fired. Should she be? No, she should not. All the same, you can only shake your head in disgust at Yale's explanation of why they're not firing her. Here's what our President Salovey said. Yale is committed to freedom of expression, and the comments posted on Professor Graywall's personal accounts represent her own views. Yes, Yale should support the freedom of expression. But we know that for the last 5 years, they have not been. Yale, Columbia, Harvard, Princeton, Penn, they have been firing and investigating and disciplining professors for much less offensive speech, and students too. There was a student just 2 years ago. He sent out a party invitation. He used the word trap house. Who's ever even heard of the word trap house?
Yeah, I remember that story. Kid punished for putting out this invitation. Come to the trap house party.
What the hell does it mean? It was immediately denounced as racist because of the use of the word trap house. And he was hauled in by the university administrators and accused of being racist and told he must apologize for his racist invitation or they would destroy his career. And the school sent out an email to the entire community, approved apparently by the dean herself, saying they denounced his racist email, his invitation. Now, you cannot call a student's email racist in this country without threatening his whole career. But they did that to this student for using the word trap house, and now, suddenly, they're committed to the freedom of expression, so they can't do anything? You all are living in a world of doublespeak, where things are called the opposite of what they are. The movement that calls itself anti-fascist is fascist. In fact, it's the only serious fascist movement we have in the United States. A lot of the movement that calls itself anti-racist is racist.
Yep.
What is called inclusion is often exclusion.
Correct.
What is called equity is often inequity. The people screaming loudest against genocide are, in fact, often justifying, praising, sometimes calling for genocide. So doublespeak is invidious. It's corrupting of language itself. It's hard to communicate when that's the world you're living in. This is going to be a problem for the younger people here, more than the older folks, because that's your world. So what should we do then when people praise Hamas and support genocidal maniacs through a doublespeak rhetoric that's hypocrisy and a social justice rhetoric that is hypocrisy? What should we do? Well, we should condemn them and expose their hypocrisy and defend their freedom of speech. Do not give up on it. Never give in to what they do and what they want, which is to destroy the freedom of speech and the other constitutional freedoms that make this country what it is.
Again, folks, that is the message I agree with. Do not give up on your freedoms despite how wicked the world is becoming. When you start taking away the freedoms of the so-called bad folks, and you can fill in the blank. I'm sure there's some people out there listening and go, oh, Joey, you're one of the bad folks. Fine. But you better be careful. Because it's when you start taking away the so-called bad folks' freedoms, especially the freedom of speech or the freedom of thought or worship. The word, at the end of the day, is freedom of conscience that undergirds the First Amendment. When you get rid of that cornerstone of a free society, I don't care how good your reasons might seem in the moment and how awful the people you're trying to shut up and muzzle might seem in the moment. As soon as you give up on this, you have to assume the worst will take over that apparatus you built. Whether it's censorship, whether it's the violation of Americans' basic privacies and right to be left alone, as we see with the complete evisceration of the Fourth Amendment in the modern era, or so many aspects of the Constitution that have been ripped apart for this or that emergency. In a second, I want to play, well, probably the greatest endorsement of libertarianism I've ever heard. But it probably came from one of the greatest enemies of liberty on the planet today. The only Klaus Schwab. Schwab? He's German, but he has the more, this sort of accent. I am Klaus Schwab. You will eat the bugs, and you will be happy. Klaus Schwab finally named his enemy, the anti-system to his global stakeholder system he's building. We'll get into that in a second, who Klaus Schwab himself sees as his enemy. Again, 272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Oh, yeah. Howdy, Joey. Yeah, I'm David.
Hey, David.
Yeah, I was kind of, I heard you talking about Trump earlier in the show, and I was more interested in that topic. But
sure.
Just as a
go wherever you like.
Yeah, you were, a side note about the Hamas and Israel business. I don't know if you've looked at Yahoo News this morning, but they've got a big headline about it's Netanyahu buying silence of Hamas. It's called Buying Quiet inside the Israeli plan that propped up Hamas. So if you get a chance to read that,
no, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that history. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this ugly. You know, America was founded on the principle of taxation with representation, and if Israel is pretending to be a democracy but not providing basic services to the Palestinians who are citizens of Israel. They don't provide them good fresh water. They don't provide them good sewage systems, schools, bus systems, any kind of normal things, parks that a democracy would provide. And apparently, to read that article, it makes it plain that they didn't want to allow the Palestinians to have a voice in government. And so they intentionally kept the Palestinians split. They created Hamas, and they had PLO at the other end of the country, the north and the south, and they pitted Hamas against the PLO, and they still provided money down into Hamas, and they pretended that the money that Hamas was getting was to provide services. But it really is just an insult to the concept of taxation with representation. And it's been going on all over America along these lines, too. You look at Flint, Michigan having poisoned drinking water. East Palestine, being poisoned and then not having a medical system to take care of the average person, that the people have to go to a company doctor to be able to deal with that poisoning. So it's, if you get a chance to look at that article. But regarding Trump is, he was supposed to testify in court today, right? And he chickened out. And the point of his testimony was to, he's already been found guilty of fraud in New York State, and he's going to lose his business license for the entire state. So all of his fortune, hundreds and hundreds of buildings he owns up there, he's going to have to sell them and turn the money over to the state of New York for all of the fraud that he's committed. Now, one of the ugly realities was that when he was committing this fraud, he was jacking up the prices of real estate so high that the average person was never able to afford rent in his properties. And that's true for both businesses and for residential apartments. And so by jacking up the rents, he's created homelessness not only in New York State, but he's created homelessness all around the rest of the country, because all of the other realtors had to keep up with those New York prices. And so now we've got tent cities all over America because Donald Trump jacked up the rent.
Because of Trump jacking up the rent. That's one of the stupidest things I've heard in a long time, Dave.
Well, it's absolutely true. You talk about New York City, where thousands of dollars a month just to have a flea-bag apartment. This is not just Trump Towers. When Trump's niece inherited her properties, she was driven around for days to look at 900 different properties that she had a piece of. And the prices were already insane back then.
Right, but it's part of a larger ecosystem of higher prices, especially in a high-demand market like New York. And I think lay that all at the feet of Trump is a bit absurd. And I also think none of this would be being thrown his way or the Trump organization's way if he had never been president.
No.
Or challenge anybody like that. I find it awfully convenient. I'm not alone that all these charges are coming down right now.
Well, don't you remember he was being charged with certain of these things before he was president, and when he got elected, they had to freeze the cases until he was out, right? So many of these cases started long before he was president, but once he became a candidate or once he got elected, nobody wanted to allow the courts to disrupt the management of America. No, these cases, the rape case is a real good example of that. This woman was trying to sue him for years, and once he became president, then he continued to slander her, and these crimes that he's committed, the fraud. And fraud is something that normally gets somebody put in prison. Jared Kushner's dad was sentenced for years, and Donald Trump gave him a pardon. You know, a guy that was sentenced for years for committing the very same crime that Donald Trump did, that he's being dealt with today. So fraud is something that transfers its way around the country. When you jack up real estate so high that, and when you were saying that the markets were already saturated, I've forgotten the expression you used, but New York prices, they've kept apartments empty in order to have fake supply and demand. That if you keep enough apartments empty, then there's not enough to choose from, and then prices go up from there. And when these speculators own, you can see whole skyscrapers in New York that are virtually empty because they're owned by speculators as opposed to owned by people that actually live in them.
Dave, my point was that it seems absurd to lay the national homelessness crisis at the feet of Trump himself, especially when, maybe if you had mentioned BlackRock or some of the hedge funds or some of these other folks that have big positions within the real estate market, or you could look at the policies of locales like San Francisco or other big cities that are having this problem. I think you are reducing the problem down to one guy to suit your political opinions, but I appreciate the call, as always, sir.
Yeah, well, there's a 6-to-1 ratio of empty units to every homeless person. There's 6 empty
I'm not shocked that there
for
might
every
be fraud
homeless
within the New York real estate market, or
This is
fraud
not
generally
New York
with
and-
everybody.
This is not Chicago and San Francisco and New York only. This is small towns across America are having the same problem. There are 6 empty units for every homeless person. And most homeless people are so meek that they don't travel far from where they were brought up. Most homeless people don't go to some big city. They're mostly meek people that don't, they don't travel far from where they were born. And the homeless problems of a small town are, I remember living in a small town in Colorado, and most of the homeless people were frozen out. This was right after the savings and loans crux.
It's fascinating, Dave, but I got to run.
Okay.
Thanks. Call again, if you like. Look at that. I've got to hit a break now. Oh, no. 2024 is coming early. And honestly, my position is, could you show that Donald Trump has committed a lot of sins, maybe even in court prove that he's been fraudulent? I and a lot of other people don't care. Because we can put that up against the fraud that goes on every day in Washington, D.C., and the millions of lives that are affected by it, including the hundreds of thousands, not millions over the last 2 decades, that are dead due to those frauds. We're not going to play by the rules in the first place. Why play by them at all? I'm tired of clutching our pearls over the momentary, politically expedient corruption. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is Randy and Tammy Burkhalter at Prattville Farm Center.
Hey, Randy, we've got a lot of gift ideas for those hard-to-buy-for folks, especially with the new gift shop at Mama's Produce.
Well, Tammy, what about the chickens, dogs, horses, and cows?
We've got gift ideas for them, too.
But remember, the greatest gift is free, the gift of a Savior, Jesus Christ.
So from Eddie, Steve, Paige, Reese, Jacob, Jimmy, Moo Mammy, Tammy, and Randy.
Merry Christmas.
I'm here with Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall. Dot, the place is looking festive.
Yes, Christmas is definitely here.
I can see lots of things around here that would be great for Christmas.
The booths are stocked with everything you need for the Christmas season. And we enjoy your visits to see us and helping us keep up all those old good traditions and maybe starting a few new ones. But we love seeing each and every one of you.
What if somebody's looking for a special gift?
We've got the china, of course, and the crystal and the furniture, and we have the vinyl records and silver plate and jewelry and whatever else you think you want.
All right, Dot, give us those hours of operation.
Monday through Friday is 10 until 6. Saturday is 9 until 6. And Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard. And for Miss Dot and Mr. Gary and the McDaniel family, they wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for shopping Eastbrook.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. Plenty of comments rolling in here on the live stream. Oh my, some of them I can't even say. Wow, yeah. Well, Dave, keep calling. You're very popular, I guess, in a heel sort of way if you're into wrestling. Wow. Is this guy forgetting all the peace settlements that the Palestinians rejected? Is he forgetting the constant suicide bombings that plagued Israel when Hamas took control? Is he forgetting that Hamas wants to completely annihilate Israel, meaning genocide? The phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, has nothing to do with the Palestinians. That's from Gumtown John. This guy is not blaming homelessness on Trump, says Eric the Dog. What an effing idiot. Oh, well, that's nice. Gumtown John back at it. Trump is a pretty bad anti-Semite. I mean, he allowed his daughter to convert to Judaism and still play a very important role in his life. Yeah, no kidding. Romex Angler jumping in saying, how far can you go if you become homeless? You're probably out of money at that point, so yeah, you'll most likely be close to where home was. That's a big old duh. And Delightful Baker says, Joey, you showed that guy way more patience than he deserved. Yeah, I'm sure Dave's a nice enough guy, but these calls are interesting, that's for sure. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And there at Pest Pro, Ashley and her team are ready to help you with any of your potential pest control problems, especially termites. You know, homeowners insurance doesn't cover termite treatment or cover damage. So what you need to do is, well, get Pest Pro out there before you have a problem with your termites. Of course, if you already have a problem where there's an infestation, they can take care of that for you, but it's better to prevent any big problem. Essentially what Pest Pro can do is coming out to your property, without getting all technical, they lay down bait. And when the termites ever hit your property, they're going to hit that bait first. Pest Pro will know when they hit that bait. They can come out and take care of them. And of course, they can help you with any big pest control problem if it's an emergency, but I really recommend you get on an everyday program, or really it's a quarterly schedule with Pest Pro Services. That number, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell Ashley and the team that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Again, 272-9228. If you want to get in on the program, you never know what's going to happen when somebody calls up 272-9228, but you know, it might be fun, enlightening, might be frustrating. This is freedom, or something like that. We'll be right back.
Joey Clark.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A combination of heavy rain, snow, and wind, bringing threats of flooding and power outages to the Northeast. It's part of the same storm system that killed 6 people in Tennessee. Winter storm warnings are in effect through late afternoon across Vermont and northern New York, where up to 10 inches of snow is forecast. The Washington, D.C. area had some slushy snow overnight. Battles continue in and around the southern city of Khan Yunis, where Israeli ground forces opened a new line of attack last week. Battles also still underway in parts of Gaza City and the urban Jobalia refugee camp that's located in northern Gaza. On Wall Street now, stocks have moved higher. The Dow up 130 points, the Nasdaq adding 13 points. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Hi, everybody. We've got some pretty chilly air in place. Today will be kind of a raw December day. Sunshine, but rather breezy and cold. High 52. Gusty northerly winds will make it seem colder. Clear and cold tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 30 by dawn tomorrow morning. Good bit of sunshine on Tuesday with a high up to about 57. We'll be near 60 on Wednesday and Thursday with partial sunshine and the risk of showers returning Friday night into Saturday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. A Montgomery police officer was injured in a shooting at the Pace Car gas station on Ann Street early Saturday morning. The suspect shot a man in a robbery attempt, and as police arrived, the suspect shot one of the officers. The injured officer and the man who was shot in the robbery attempt are both expected to recover. The former director at a Montgomery nursing home has been indicted for stealing more than 1,000 hydrocodone tablets. 45-year-old Tiffany Alexander Fields is accused of submitting fake prescriptions to the nursing home's pharmacy, which is a crime punishable by 1 to 10 years in prison. In college football news, Troy head football coach John Sumrall will be the new head coach at Tulane University in New Orleans. Sumrall has been the head coach at Troy for the past 2 seasons, leading the Trojans to a 23-4 overall record and consecutive Sun Belt Conference championships. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Do you have a cell phone or tablet that isn't charging, dying fast, or maybe the screen is damaged? Don't get suckered into buying a new one. XI Repair can fix your current device same day and in under 30 minutes. Their certified technicians fix and recover data from thousands of cell phones, computers, tablets, game consoles, and drones 7 days a week. Give them a call today at 334-777-1234 or visit them online at xirepair.com.
May I help you?
Well, howdy. I'm Bill the electrician.
Come to wire up your new air compressors.
Oh, well, okay. Never seen an electrician pull up in a camo Jeep with deer antlers on the front.
Yeah, that 3 points of beauty, ain't it?
No matter what your electrician is driving, make sure it says Crosby Electric on the side. Crosby Electricians will take care of your electrical issues professionally and for a reasonable price.
Bill, you sure you know how to design these circuits?
Well, of course. And if I do get stuck, I got a secret weapon.
Oh, yeah?
YouTube.
Oh, boy.
Crosby Electric has been serving this area for over 50 years. We have the experience to do your job correctly.
Okay, let's try out these new air compressors.
Bill, you blew up my new compressors.
Yeah, sorry about that. Here, take my Jeep. It's yours.
What?
I'll just keep the horns, if that's okay.
Protect your property and yourself. Always call the experts at Crosby Electric or visit us at crosbyelectric.com.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Speaking of everything being too expensive, try being a millennial.
What are your financial goals?
Big goal, I'm trying to buy a house.
Yeah, right.
What?
You'll never own a home.
But I work 40 hours a week.
That's awesome. Nobody cares.
I don't live paycheck to paycheck.
No, you're not what we call paycheck to paycheck. You're what we call vacation to pet surgery.
Oh.
Have you ever had to
Oh, that hit home when I heard that.
replace all 4 tires on your car at once?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Why are tires so expensive?
That's not good.
Speaking of cars, seems like you paid your car off recently. Thank you. I did pay off my car. That's a big boy move.
The very same month your student loans picked back up?
Forgot about those.
Everybody did.
But I just got a raise.
So did all the prices.
Yeah, what's going on with eggs?
Oof, eggs are having a year. That's why I stopped eating.
When did you stop eating?
Yesterday. What are your long-term life goals?
I'm honestly just trying to be able to afford a kid.
For folks who are just out there listening, the advisor to the millennial financial advisor, reached across the table and punched him right in the face, talking about having a kid. Wow. Now, everything is more expensive. We could lay that at the feet of a lot of different things. I tend to look at the central bank in this country and monetary policy in general, destroying the value of your money. But you could get into all the different ways. We have a mixed economy, so to speak. And we've had a mixed economy for a long time. Again, how I opened the show talking about those New Dealers and how we haven't had a true reframe or rebuild since, say, the New Dealers of the 30s, and especially all the changes made during and after World War II. Talk about the Second Revolutionary War. Now, I would hope to have a new reframe in the 21st century. It doesn't require another world war. I would like that very much. It's one thing to prepare for the national defense. In fact, I think a reframe could probably get the so-called military-industrial complex back in gear and get a lot of the waste and rot and, say, lack of mission and how expensive things are in general. I think we need to refocus a lot of the basics across the board. But because we've been a mixed economy and been built, the house FDR built now for nearly a century, things are starting to kind of fly apart. Even those who like the crony game, who like crony capitalism, who like this massive intervention of the government into all the most important markets, whether you're talking about housing or you're talking about the banking sector, pharmaceuticals, and so many other things. There is a very real reality of regulatory capture, of certain industries being so regulated that they're now almost acting like government bureaucracies themselves. But again, even the folks that like crony capitalism, they're a little nervous too. They're realizing, hey, this is why the Great Reset is being on offer, and Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum, well, he has been pushing the Great Reset to the hilt. But over the weekend, Klaus Schwab kind of gave the greatest endorsement of libertarianism I've ever heard by coming out, well, against libertarianism. You know, for all this system Klaus wants to build, what does he call it? Stakeholder capitalism? Where you have certain players, and actually what you're going to see is an economy that's sort of like a true, explicit, private-public partnership, where actually there's a lot of managing of the economy. It isn't just the price sector. It isn't just, competition. Actually, we need cooperation, not competition. And we need to refocus our efforts so we can deal with these global problems, from climate change to the next pandemic to the next cyber attack. If you just give the corporations and the governments more power to work together and intrude on your private life, they'll keep us safe and prosperous, they claim. But here's Klaus Schwab over the weekend. This clip was going viral in libertarian circles. Let's listen in together.
You have this anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system. So fixing the present system is not enough. Now there is, of course, a anti-system.
Tell me more.
Which is called libertarianism, which means to tear down everything which creates some kind of influence of government into private lives.
Yeah, it's called freedom, you jackass. I think Klaus Schwab, by the way, some of his big influences, one was this like liberation theology fella. I think the same mentor to the Pope. And that's what's amazing. It's not like we're rebelling against the Catholic Church anymore. The Protestants, y'all have done your job in that regard over the last few hundred years. It's not like we're just protesting against, say, Washington, D.C. It has become this weird, incestuous alliance between major corporate power, major government power, non-government organizations that act like governing bodies all over the earth. And they want a central plan with all the stakeholders having a say in their plans to rule the world. But, given all the threats that are out there, from climate change to the next pandemic to the next cyber attack, or just, people being insecure in all sorts of different ways, the homelessness crisis, take your pick. The thing that threatens us solving those problems the most, apparently, is, say it again, Klaus.
This anti-system movement.
It's an anti-system movement.
What we are seeing is a revolution against the system.
A revolution against the system.
So fixing the present system is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is, of course.
So fixing the present system is not enough. So it's one thing to reframe things, but we have to first, before we can ever do this big great reset, or I'd call a reframe or a reboot, we've got to take out this anti-system.
A anti-system, which is called libertarianism, which means to tear down everything which creates some kind of influence of government into private lives. It's dismantling the system.
Thank you for that endorsement of libertarianism, Klaus. And I'm telling you what, folks, most men, we'd like to think we're all original, but you know what? Most men, rich or poor, famous or no notoriety whatsoever, most men are written before they're born. Their personalities and plans typecast and scripted long before they've ever had a chance to even pretend to craft themselves like gods. Someone else has already thought their thoughts, dreamed their dreams, and foreseen the path most men will choose to tread. Although prefigured, men still do have choices to make, though. Neither claims of necessity nor ripples of destiny can liberate a man from the responsibility of his own freedom. In truth, man's liberation begins when he admits he is not God and understands that he is ultimately responsible for the twists and turns of his own life. Man's emancipation, fueled by the light of his reason, conviction, and choice, must always shine through the shadow of his limitations. Yet when some men begin to think of themselves without limitation, as something akin to gods capable of crafting themselves and the entire world anew to reign and rule, that is when, ironically, such men will be most ripe to forsake the freedom of others. These elites treat their fellow men not as free and equal beings, but as tools to be used and resources to be rendered, as bricks to be stacked atop more bricks, as sheep to be fleeced and goats to be sacrificed for the greater good of society and the construction of a new Babel. The elite always claim to speak for the common good while cloaking their agenda in the language of cooperation and partnership. Yet behind the curtain, their disdain for individual liberty remains. Liberty threatens their system. It destabilizes the system. Liberty threatens their plans. So liberty, being so dangerous, such a threat, must be branded as the number one problem if we are going to have a future of civilization. Liberty must be branded as dangerous even to humanity itself. Just ask Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum. His recent lament regarding the dangers of libertarianism to his system of stakeholder capitalism with its public-private partnerships fits the script almost perfectly. Some try to typecast Schwab as a James Bond villain, and he does kind of pull up a picture of this guy again. He kind of does look like the part. He does look like he could be a Bond villain, Mr. Bond. I'm going to put you in a precarious situation that's an overwrought way of killing you, but I will assume you're dead and did not escape, Mr. Bond. So he could be a Bond villain, but I don't think that's it. I would humbly suggest Schwab is more akin to an antagonist such as Ayn Rand's Ellsworth Toohey. Indeed, long before Schwab branded libertarianism the enemy, Rand, the libertarian hero and Russian-born novelist, seems to have already written the script on Schwab and his World Economic Forum. In an essay entitled The New Fascism, Rule by Consensus, Rand prefigures the rise of the 21st century globalist liberal elite, with their calls for a mixed economy of pull, privilege, and partnership wrapped up in the language of compromise, cooperation, and consensus. Quoting Rand directly now, quote, "The formula by which the sacrificial animals are to be fooled and tamed is being repeated today with growing insistence and frequency. Businessmen, it is said," again, Rand was writing this in the 60s, "businessmen, it is said, must regard the government not as an enemy, but as a partner. The notion of a partnership between a private group and public officials, between business and government, between production and force, is a linguistic corruption and anti-concept typical of fascist ideology, an ideology that regards force as the basic element and ultimate arbiter in all human relationships. Partnership is an indecent euphemism for government control. There can be no partnership between armed bureaucrats and defenseless private citizens who have no choice but to obey. What chance would you have against a partner whose arbitrary word is law, who may give you a hearing if your pressure group is big enough, but who will play favorites and bargain your interest away, who will always have the last word and the legal right to enforce it on you at the point of a gun, holding your property, your work, your future, your life in its power? Is that the meaning of partnership?" Rand continues. "But there are men who may find such a prospect attractive. They exist among businessmen as among every other group or profession. The men who dread the competition of a free market and would welcome an armed partner to extort special advantages over their abler competitors. Men who seek to rise, not by merit, but by pull. Men who are willing and eager to live not by right, but by favor." Rand continues on, mocking the liberals of her timing, and this is in the 60s, this is during the LBJ administration. But she continues mocking the liberals who are too socialistically naive to see where their ideals actually end up. Quote, an essential aspect of the socialistically inclined mentality is the desire to obliterate the difference between the earned and the unearned. To a concrete bound range of the moment primitive socialist mentality, a mentality that clamors for a redistribution of wealth without any concern for the origin of wealth, the enemy is all those who are rich, regardless of the source of their riches. Such mentalities, those aging, graying liberals who have been the idealists of the 30s, are clinging desperately to the illusion that we are moving towards some sort of socialist state, inimical to the rich and beneficial to the poor, while frantically evading the spectacle of what kind of rich are being destroyed and what kind are flourishing under the system they, the liberals, have established. The grim joke is on them. Their alleged ideals have paved the way, not toward socialism, but toward fascism. The collector of their efforts is not the helplessly, brainlessly virtuous little man of their flat-footed imagination and shop-worn fiction, but the worst type of predatory rich, the rich by force, the rich by political privilege, the type who has no chance under capitalism, but who is always there to cash in on every collectivist noble experiment. It is the creators of wealth who are destroyed under any form of statism, socialist, communist, or fascist. It is the parasites who are the privileged elite and the profiteers of statism, particularly of fascism. Klaus Schwab, or whatever his name is, Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum is right. To fear libertarianism is a threat to his project, to his latest collectivist noble experiment called the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. Not only is liberty rising in places like Argentina, with the election of Javier Milei, who uses a lot of Rand's own language, a lot of language from the libertarian movement, but not only is that happening in Argentina, amazingly, so too are the ideas of liberty becoming more widespread by the day on public forums like Elon Musk's Twitter X platform. Again, Alex Jones, for better or worse, is back because freedom. But even worse, libertarians foresaw the likes of Schwab long before he came on the scene. His role was written many moons before his time under the sun. He isn't the first, nor will he be the last, to try to play God. Schwab's enemy, a widespread belief in individual liberty, responsibility, emancipation, and personal salvation, was, is, and always will be an ultimate and eternal limitation on men's tyrannical attempts to erect a new Babel. 272-9228. So again, I say thank you, Klaus Schwab. Where are you, Klaus? Thank you, Klaus, for pointing out that libertarians are the enemy. This is exactly what I've been trying to tell the people. And you just said it out loud. Your freedom, folks, is dangerous. Your freedom stops people like Klaus here from actually accomplishing his goals. What in the world made him think his goals, his agendas, his will is more important or more equal than anybody else's? I'm not sure. But liberty will bloom. And it's beautiful how what was built maybe over 100 years, a house built 100 years ago, can be taken down in a year or two by the forces of liberty. We might actually have real progress then if that comes to pass. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And they're at Montgomery Men's Health. Well, they can help you men out. It's right there in the name. But of course, they can help you with any problems you being a man. It could be problems in the bedroom. You know what I'm talking about. ED, PE. Maybe you got prostate issues. I don't know, man. Or it could be you're experiencing the symptoms of low T. That includes a lack of energy, a lack of motivation, a lack of drive, always feeling sluggish, physically and mentally, this rundown, no sex drive to speak of, low libido as they call it. Maybe you're just haunted by younger memories of yourself, where you go all day, all night without petering out. Well, you might have low T, man, low testosterone. So for only $99 at Montgomery Men's Health, it's just a quick blood draw. You can know your testosterone numbers. And if you do have low T, they have treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change your life. Most men after these treatments experience higher energy throughout the day, better gains in the gym, brother, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns. You might even notice an increased sex drive, which can make life just all that much better. So call up Montgomery Men's Health today. Make an appointment at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com and be sure to tell the people there at Montgomery Men's Health that Joey from News and Views on the radio sent you. We'll be right back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program.
Joey Clark.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Hey folks, remember the good old days when Christmas gifts had us playing outdoors? Well, these days, kids only ask for an electronic device that keeps them cooped up inside. So, parent or grandparent, take charge this Christmas and get the entire family enjoying the great outdoors with a Hammerhead go-kart by Polaris from CTE Outdoor Power. Now, everyone knows go-karts are fantastic family fun, and whether it's a small kids cart, a medium-sized youth model, or a large full-performance machine for teens and adults, Hammerhead carts have the quality, safety, and performance you expect from Polaris. Don't have a place to hide a cart until Christmas? No problem. Whether you take advantage of our 0% interest financing, layaway, or purchase your Hammerhead cart, CTE will store the cart through December 23rd. So call, click, or come by today and reserve your Hammerhead at CTE Outdoor Power, I-85 at Perry Hill Road and CTEOutdoorPower.com.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster.
Hey man, what's happening?
Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money?
Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man.
Your money man?
With the money plan.
I see.
So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know?
I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest.
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
And he has a website at retirewithernest.com.
Hey, you're on top of it today, man.
I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting.
Yes. I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air.
Why were you taken off the air?
Too much foul language, man.
Oh, my.
So I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest news, Alabama values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
How you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. News and views in the afternoon. 272-9228. If you want to get in on the program. Now, because I don't have Eddie here, Sky couldn't be here today either. I don't have any sidekicks or support today, which is fine. Actually, they both have pretty good reasons not to be here today. I get it. I'm using GROK. Yeah, I paid the money, and I'm, for whatever X Platform Plus, whatever, I write it off as part of the job. And GROK has been my assistant today. Already asked about the top political news stories. Already asked about the just top news stories in general. But there are different functions that, they suggest prompts, and you can set GROK to fun mode or regular mode. I've got it on fun mode right now. And one of the prompts you can use is roast Joey Clark based on my post and be vulgar. That's a command you can give to GROK, so I'm going to do this now. Roast at the Joey Clark based on their post. Okay, GROK's now writing. Oh boy, where do I begin with this guy? Joey Clark, you're like a walking, talking, tweeting contradiction. You're out here talking about the horrors of war while simultaneously posting about brawls and iron bowls like it's a soap opera. And don't even get me started on your eyewitness account of the Montgomery Riverfront brawl. Eyewitness? More like eye roll, am I right? Wow, GROK. It's like you're trying to be a modern-day superhero, but your superpower is just being a total buzzkill. Oh, and let's not forget your obsession with banning people. Banning them is what made them champions? Yeah, because that's exactly what we need. More champions of bad behavior. Keep up the great work, buddy. But hey, at least you're consistent in your inconsistency. Hey, I say that all the time, GROK. You go from talking about the Iron Bowl to blaming original censors for someone's success. It's like you're trying to cover all the bases of how to be an online enigma. So, Joey Clark, keep on tweeting those hot takes and eyewitness counts. The world needs more people like you to remind us that even the most well-intentioned individuals can be unintentionally hilarious. Well, I appreciate that, GROK. I did tell you to roast me. You weren't that vulgar, though. This is how the future's going, folks. Actually, I find the GROK platform, I've messed with a few of these AI things, and GROK is very fun. Because it's hooked into Twitter, you can get real-time information. It's not perfect. It makes mistakes a lot already. Like some of the points it even made roasting me didn't quite make logical sense. You could tell it's just grabbing, information off a post or a clip or the title of something. But it's pretty amazing, and actually I think this tool's only going to get better and better and better. 272-9228. Now, from the fun of GROK to, well, the disturbing. This is Rand Paul, who is still, he is like a drug-sniffing dog looking for cocaine in the, well, not in the White House. I'm sure that's got to confuse the dogs there. What, it's right there. It was that guy who did it. No, we're not telling the public that. This is Rand Paul on with Maria Bartiromo, or whatever her name is. Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. And Rand Paul has not given up on his mission against Dr. Fauci. So let's listen in together, shall we?
no trust with the Chinese government.
Well, what about the accountability here?
So it starts with no trust of the Chinese government. Sorry about those on the live stream. Yeah, I didn't have the sound on for you guys. I apologize. Essentially said the long and short of it is no trust for the Chinese government and no trust for many of the so-called experts around this. You can get why somebody might have the interest to cover something up, but, well, let's continue on with Dr. Paul.
Here and why the Biden administration does not push for it. I mean, right now, as we speak, there are American investors continuing to underwrite the CCP by buying those companies that are tied to the Chinese military. It seems this administration is not willing to pull the economic lever, and that is shut off the capital markets to Chinese communist companies that may have been involved in that cover-up or tied to the military.
Well, we still continue to fight the Biden administration every day just for unclassified information, and they resist at every turn. We've had to basically withhold nominees and withhold legislation to try to get anything from the Biden administration. And I'm not sure what it is. Either it's sympathy or believing that relations with China are so important that the truth can be obscured. But there's also a certain amount of culpability in the Biden administration throughout several different departments, USAID, NIH, HHS. They're withholding documents because they funded the lab in Wuhan, not just once, not just twice, but for a decade they were funding. And we have Anthony Fauci on record as saying that even if a pandemic occurs, even if a gain-of-function research infects a scientist and a pandemic occurs, that the knowledge would be worth the risk. And I think most people who had a loved one die, from COVID, either here or around the world, would disagree and think Anthony Fauci made a disastrous judgment call. But he also took the research and it didn't go before the normal scrutiny. There's a safety committee that was supposed to review this, and Anthony Fauci allowed this research to be done at his signature, at his conclusion, at his approval, without the approval of the safety committee. And this, for this, he really should go down in history, perhaps as one of the worst people in public office ever, and responsible for probably more deaths than any other individual in the medical world.
Well, I mean, there was so much censorship of so much information that was vital for Americans to see and understand about COVID and about the vaccines, but they censored it. Can we even trust health officials in this government?
Well, it was directed explicitly by him. We go over this in the book because he commissioned scientists who were saying in private that they thought it was a manipulated virus, manipulated in a lab and came from a lab. He convinced them in public to say the opposite. He commissioned and edited a paper that said that absolutely this did not come from a lab, while privately all of these same scientists were saying in all likelihood it did come from a lab. So there really was an orchestrated cover-up on this. We also now know that he was visiting the CIA in early 2020. We know that the CIA scientists, 7 of them, voted 6-1 to say it came from the lab, and then they were reversed by superiors. We need to know whether Anthony Fauci influenced the superiors or perhaps the opposite. Did the CIA influence Anthony Fauci? But we also need to know how often he was visiting and what he was there for. Our understanding is that he wasn't recorded on visitor logs, but he was appearing frequently at the CIA. You have to realize that he was not a scientist in charge of a cure for cancer. He was also in charge of a lot of bioweapons money and in charge of a lot of things that had dual use. And they won't reveal any of this to us. They had weekly meetings on dangerous dual use research concerns and gain of function, and not one item of any of those meetings has been released to us, despite us asking for it for over 3 years.
Do you believe COVID was a bioweapon?
I think that it was probably developed for a vaccine. I think they developed coronavirus. They inserted this cleavage site in to make it more infectious to humans, and that they had a vaccine very early on because I think they were developing a vaccine against COVID, and then COVID got out. But the interesting thing is the scientist, Dr. Zhou Yusen, who developed it, died mysteriously 2 months after the development of the virus. He fell from a tall building in Beijing. And
What? Keep going, but I either forgot that or just didn't know in the first place. Holy crap.
There's a lot of questions as to the circumstances of his death.
Wow. I did not realize that he died from a tall building in Beijing.
You got to watch out for those tall buildings. They can get you sometime. 272-9228. We got to hit a break here, but first, this part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And, of course, there at Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and her team, including the lovely and talented Madeline, Well, they can help you whether you're looking to buy a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, or maybe it's not your first rodeo, but the last time you didn't have a great experience with the bank or the mortgage company, or there were mishaps or surprises on closing day. No. That's why you got to go with Alabama Home Mortgage. They actually sit down to get to know you. They get to understanding your goals. Like, why are you even buying a home? And they can help you out from pre-approval all the way to closing day, every step of the way in between. And they're also helping folks get out from under mountains of debt, especially credit card debt. I think the average APR is something like 29%. That's just the average. And so if you're somebody stuck under mountains and mountains of credit card debt or any type of, say, cash flow problem going on, if you have equity or value built up in your home, a refinance deal is a great way to give you a bit of relief when it comes to those cash flow problems, when it comes to that mountain of debt you're barely chipping away at month after month. So if you're interested, call Kim and Madeline today, 567-4223. Especially if you're a veteran, they have amazing deals. The best game in town for veterans. They're VA home loan certified there at Alabama Home Mortgage. 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline. Prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. More news and views in the afternoon. After this, will there be any accountability, any at all, for Dr. Fauci, for the Chinese government, for anyone that just locked people in their homes and called it sound governance? How about smearing the good name of so many great accomplished doctors, epidemiologists like Jay Bhattacharya of Stanford? Any of these guys that broke bad with the establishment. What about Sweden? All of a sudden the Swedes become dumb? I thought the Swedes got it right with COVID. We'll see. This is why I want a big old wrecking ball taken to the DC bureaucracy. I think it's the only way we're ever going to have anything approximating accountability. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This holiday season is about more. Not more presents and shopping. More you. That's why at Montgomery Men's Health we're celebrating the season of connection. Connecting with your family, with true friendships, and with yourself. We're treating erectile dysfunction with the least invasive, most advanced treatment options. We've been the local support team helping men get that spark back. In the bedroom, on the job, at the gym, and everywhere life takes you. To celebrate this season of connection, we're giving away free B12 at our Montgomery Clinic with every office visit for those who medically qualify. Our commitment is to take care of men, because men who feel alive will change the world. Don't wait to experience the difference our team at Montgomery Men's Health can make. Do it for your career. Do it for your family. Do it for your love life. Do it for you. Because the most meaningful present you can give is a man who is fully present. To give the gift of you this year, call now, 334-440-3663, or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to set up a consultation and lab panel today.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by the Johnny Adams Law Firm. Season's greetings from the Johnny Adams Law Firm, who wants you and your family to stay weather alert this holiday season.
Rich Thomas weather.
Hi, everybody. We've got some pretty chilly air in place. Today will be kind of a raw December day. Sunshine, but rather breezy and cold. High 52. Gusty northerly winds will make it seem colder. Clear and cold tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 30 by dawn tomorrow morning. Good bit of sunshine on Tuesday with a high up to about 57. We'll be near 60 on Wednesday and Thursday with partial sunshine and the risk of showers returning Friday night into Saturday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
I'm here with Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall. Dot, the place is looking festive.
Yes, Christmas is definitely here.
I can see lots of things around here that would be great for Christmas.
The booths are stocked with everything you need for the Christmas season. And you know we enjoy your visits to see us and helping us keep up all those old good traditions and maybe starting a few new ones. But we love seeing each and every one of you.
Now, what if somebody's looking for a special gift?
We've got the china, of course, and the crystals and the furniture, and we have the vinyl records and silver plate and jewelry and whatever else you think you want.
All right, Dot, give us those hours of operation.
Monday through Friday is 10 until 6. Saturday is 9 until 6. And Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard. And for Miss Dot and Mr. Gary and the McDaniel family, they wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for shopping Eastbrook.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. It's News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Now let's do a quick local story here. Kind of local. It's a brand new poll put up by the Forestry Association about the GOP primary for the new Congressional District 2. Now, it's a survey of 300 likely Republican voters, and it found that former State Senator Dick Brubaker is ahead in the four-candidate primary election for the newly drawn Congressional District 2. The poll, conducted by McLaughlin and Associates, and first reported by Alabama Daily News, occurred from Tuesday to Thursday of last week. When asked which of the District 2 Republican candidates they would vote for if the election were today, 24.3% of respondents selected Brubaker, and 11.7% indicated that their position likely won't change between now and the election, choosing definitely in the survey. Alabama State Senator Greg Albritton from Atmore received 12%. Montgomery-based attorney Caroline Dobson received 5.3%. And former Alabama Crimson Tide defensive end Wallace Gilberry received 4.7%. Of those polled, 53.7% said they're still undecided. The poll results are also indicated over half of these voters currently favor former President Donald Trump in the Republican primary for president. Over 46% said they definitely would vote for Trump if the election were held today. 8.7% said they would probably vote for him, and just a little under a percentage point, 0.7, 7/10 said they would lean towards voting for him. After Trump came Nikki Haley at 19%, Ron DeSantis at 15.7%, Chris Christie at 3.3%, and Vivek Ramaswamy at 2.3%. 4% of the respondents indicated they were undecided altogether. When it comes to issues, almost 90% of respondents said they do not believe the country is going in the right direction. Only 40% of these local 300 here in the Montgomery and surrounding areas said that they thought things in Alabama were going wrong. So 60% think it's going right. Inflation, illegal immigration, government spending, and Christian family values ranked among respondents' top issues that were most important to them. The Republican primary in Alabama will occur on March the 5th of next year. The winners of these elections will face the Democratic and independent opponents in a general election on November the 5th. Oh, it's a shame that Vivek doesn't have more support around these parts. I guess I'm an outlier. That or young people don't answer poll questions. I think I took this poll, actually. Now that I'm seeing the breakdown, I'm pretty sure I had some lovely lady call me up and ask me all these questions, and most of the time I just said, I don't know. It's not how I think about it. Seriously, it's not how, breaking it down into little policy issues is not how I think about these things anymore. Maybe I once did. But good for Senator Dick Brubaker being in the lead there. I'm not surprised by that, given his name ID and standing here in the community. But I look forward to talking to not only Dick, but Greg Albritton and Caroline Dobson, as well as Mr. Gilberry. Should be a good race to cover here, and plenty action on the Democratic side of the aisle as well. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. This part of News and Views brought to you by XI Repair. And there at XI Repair, Jonathan Strange and his team are ready to help you with all those electronic repairs you might have. Hey, do you need to recycle old electronic equipment, say like an old flat screen TV or anything else? Just call up XI Repair first, 777-1234. Don't just show up with a bunch of junk. We call them up and be like, hey, I got this old thing. Can I bring it by for y'all to recycle? They say, yes, bring it on by. It's a nice service if you're trying to get rid of some old stuff. But of course, at XI Repair, they specialize in smartphone repairs. So whether you got a cracked screen or water damage, they know. Oh, they know if you dropped it in the toilet. You don't even have to tell them. Oh, it was the pool. Yeah, okay. You keep telling us that. We know where you dropped this phone. But they can also help you with things like a battery not holding a charge, and maybe you charge your phone all night long, and just a few hours into the day, you're already in the red. You don't need a new phone. You just need a new battery. Maybe your charger's not connecting. Could be you got a dirty port. They can help you out with all of these things. They're at XI Repair, and often it takes them like 30, 45 minutes to get it done. It's I'll give an example, my own example. I got an iPhone 10, the port cleaned out, and got the battery replaced. It was $120, took them like 40, 45 minutes. It's a lot cheaper than a brand new phone, and it was that quick. I have my iPhone 10 back. Pretty amazing work they can do. Of course, they can also work on desktop computers, laptop computers, data recovery services. Should you delete something important by accident, don't have it backed up, or somebody try to delete something on purpose, and you need to recover that incriminating text or email that your soon-to-be ex-husband, you know what I'm talking about, have your attorney contact XI Repair today. That number, again, 777-1234. That's 777-1234. Or you can always go to xirepair.com. Be sure to go to xirepair.com to check out all their holiday specials. Incredible prices on Apple smartphones, incredible prices on Samsung devices, all sorts of electronics bundles for the holidays, custom-built PC services. XI Repair, they can really do it all. And be sure to tell them that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. More News and Views. After this, hopefully we'll have Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances after the break.
Know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
back to News and Views in the afternoon. As promised, we now have on the phone Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. How are you this afternoon, Michael?
I'm great, Joey. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I've been, I was telling you off air, no Eddie, no Sky today, but I've been using Twitter or the X platform's GROK artificial intelligence. And I like GROK very much.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you can tell GROK to roast you, and GROK draws some blood. I have to admit, he said, Joey, you're just one of those guys that's unintentionally funny. You know it all. And I'm like, well, dadgummit, GROK.
Man, how did he peg you so good?
And he knows all my tweets.
Okay.
No, it's pretty cool technology. But anyway, what do you got going on there at Cohen's today?
Well, as I was cruising the warehouse, I found that we have a few Nest doorbell units. These units normally sold for about $180, and we'd like to sell them today at a $79 cash and carry. We've also got some of the Google Minis. When I Googled those, it looks like everybody's selling those for $49.95, and we have some that we can sell at $29.99. I also have a Skyworth 55-inch OLED TV. I have one on the floor, one in a box. It sold for $15, $7.50 for each one. Would be one heck of a deal. I also have two Furrion 55-inch smart TVs for outdoor. You can get those for $1,100 each. I have one Furrion 65-inch that's on the floor, and you could get it for $1,000. I also have a lot of Sony surround sound soundbar kind of systems. Some of them use 4 speakers and a woofer. Some of them are just a sound bar. But you can get those starting at probably about $299 for the subs, and then the sound bars start at about $500, depending on which level you choose. I'm kind of out of all the low end stuff.
Okay.
But this is all good stuff. And anyway, and we've got other things that I don't have on my little list that are great deals for the customers.
Well, folks, you can always check out the entire selection there at thincohens.com. But when it comes to some of these specials, some items there at Cohen's, the best way is to stop by. Right there, 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery, Michael?
That's right. Monday through Friday, we're here 9 to 6. We're here on Saturdays from 9 to 4. And, we just want to take care of you. And as much as we want to sell this stuff, we want to make sure that whatever you're looking at is the right thing for you. So we do want to try to help you make the right decision.
Well, there you go. And I guess we'll talk again tomorrow. So I look
Yes,
forward
sir.
to that, sir.
All right. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Michael. Again, Michael.
Take care.
Appreciate it, sir. Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Check him out today. Be sure to tell him you heard Michael here on the radio with Joey. You'll get bonus points for that.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Britain's Ministry of Defense is transferring 2 mine-hunting ships to Ukraine as part of a package of long-term support to bolster security in the Black Sea. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is due to travel to Washington for meetings with President Biden and other officials. Federal prosecutors say they've charged a New Hampshire man with threatening to kill a presidential candidate ahead of a scheduled campaign event. The 30-year-old man was arrested and charged on Saturday. A spokesperson for Republican candidate Vivek Ramaswamy said that the texts were directed at his campaign. On Wall Street, stocks higher. The Dow is up 96 points, and the Nasdaq is adding 25 points. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by H&H Carpets, where you will find a complete line of Mohawk carpet with exceptionally clean, smart strand fiber. It's always available and ready to be installed. H&H Carpets, across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway.
Rich Thomas weather.
Hi, everybody. We've got some pretty chilly air in place. Today will be kind of a raw December day. Sunshine, but rather breezy and cold. High 52. Gusty northerly winds will make it seem colder. Clear and cold tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 30 by dawn tomorrow morning. Good bit of sunshine on Tuesday with a high up to about 57. We'll be near 60 on Wednesday and Thursday with partial sunshine and the risk of showers returning Friday night into Saturday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At Bobo with Capital Tractor, our showrooms are buzzing with the groundbreaking innovation, power, and reliability of the #1 selling compact tractor in America. No surprise, it's a Kubota. Stop by for a test drive today. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
1819 News.
Alabama Congressman Jerry Carl is no longer willing to send American funds to the country of Ukraine as it continues its war with Russia. Carl spoke about it on FM Talk 106.5 out of Mobile with 1819 News Editor-in-Chief Jeff Poore.
I believe Ukraine is a distraction. They can always go to Ukraine. I mean, they wear their flag. They do everything they can here. It's a distraction to take our attention away from the border. We're going to wake up one day and our streets are going to be full of people that hate Americans demanding more rights. And then we're going to understand what socialism is going to drive this country. We've got to stop it at the border. We have no other choice. We want Ukraine to win, no doubt, but at what cost? We cannot give them America to win it.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
A former employee at a nursing home in Montgomery is facing an indictment for stealing over 1,000 hydrocodone pills from that facility. Tiffany Fields was working as the director of nursing at the facility. She's accused of stealing the pills at 9 different times, starting from December of 2022 to March of 2023. All of these accusations come from the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit of the Attorney General's office. Field was arrested and charged last week and has been since released on bond. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group with the updated market report. Over the past 11 and a half months, over 4,100 homes have sold and closed in our MLS system with an average price of $245,000. Houses are selling at listed price throughout the river region, and over 35% are selling in the first 30 days on the market. Rising interest rates tend to keep some people from buying, but it didn't stop over 4,100 families from buying this year. There is a cost to waiting and expecting rates to fall, and that cost is appreciation, which has been rising nearly every month for the last 2 years. So the house that you delay buying this year could cost you $35,000 more next year, even if the rate falls. One alternative is to buy now, refinance when rates improve, and that way you are not paying more for the house that you really wanted. For the facts, call Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225.
I'm Cam Marston. My radio show and podcast called What's Working with Cam Marston focuses on the workplace, workforce, and marketplace trends shaping Alabama business. My guests tell their stories and discuss their business expertise in such a way that you and I can learn from them and apply it to our own world. Listen to What's Working with Cam Marston each Saturday at noon right here on News Talk 93.1.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Again, folks, are live streaming the show today, and have been now for a few months. You can always go to @TheJoeyClark on the X platform, @TheJoeyClark on the X platform, or Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like and subscribe. That's Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Our subscribers joining by the day, and our fun cast of characters commenting also growing by the day, and I appreciate all that. Again, I'm flying solo today, so I've been using the X platform's GROK, GROK, GROK bot, or it's the AI there, and it's pretty fun. Now, because homelessness came up earlier, I just asked GROK, what are the main causes of homelessness in the United States? Number 1, lack of affordable housing. Yeah, no kidding. Number 2, poverty. Number 3, lack of affordable health care. Yeah, that's a big deal. Number 4, mental illness and substance abuse. Number 5, domestic violence, as well as other structural factors. But it's important to remember that homelessness is a complex issue, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Yeah. I agree with that. It's a complex problem, I think, though, at the end of the day, if you free up the housing market like many other markets, you could see people providing for one another. A lot of these things are very artificial, having to do with local policy and national policy. And also earlier I asked GROK, this AI bot, to roast me, and I think he did a pretty good job, but I wanted to just, if I could be narcissistic here for a second, I told GROK to analyze the writing of Joey Clark from 1819 News. And here's what GROK had to say, and I think he's being way too nice. I've analyzed the writing of Joey Clark from 1819 News, and I must say, he's quite the wordsmith. Well, thank you, GROK. Clark's writing style is engaging, thought-provoking, and often infused with a touch of humor. He's a knack for weaving together compelling narratives while addressing a wide range of topics from politics to culture. Can you feel my head getting bigger? The artificial intelligence loves me. In his articles, Clark demonstrates a strong command of language, devices to draw the reader in. He's not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom and encourages readers to think critically about the world around them. Overall, Clark's writing is a delightful blend of wit, insight, and intellectual rigor. It's no wonder he's a popular contributor to 1819 News. I need to send that to Ryan Dawson and all the other folks over there. Be like, hey, can I get a raise? Homelessness is rising up. I don't want to be one of them. 272-9228. Now, as you might have seen on the stream as a preview, here we have one of my favorite new senators. Now, yeah, I like Katie Britt a lot. He's Alabama's own. Actually, on paper, I shouldn't be a fan of Senator Britt, but I am. I really am. I'm a fan of Senator Tuberville, but they're not my favorites. Of new senators up there. I mean, Rand Paul's been a longtime favorite of mine. But one of my favorites of the new senators is from Ohio, J.D. Vance. So let's go to J.D. Vance. He was on the Sunday talk show on CNN. What is it, State of the Union? And, let's get into this back and forth a little bit.
The case for aid to both Israel and Ukraine. You and Senate Republicans recently blocked a package to support Ukraine and Israel. Among the reasons, more support for a border package to protect the southern border. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, however, talking about the aid for Israel and Ukraine, said that threats from Russia, China, Iran, Hamas are all interconnected. I want you to take a listen to what he had to say.
Sure. Challenges facing America and our allies today are not on a la carte menu of projects we can address at our leisure. America doesn't have the luxury of facing these threats individually. Our ability to contend with complex, simultaneous threats is exactly what our adversaries are testing.
Now, you disagree with that, and you oppose aid to Ukraine. Explain your position.
Well, so first of all, Jake, I think it's possible to have separate debates. In fact, congressional Republicans tried to force an Israel alone aid package just a couple of weeks ago that Democrats blocked in the Senate. So we can have separate debates. I think that we need to have separate debates. But on the Ukraine question in particular, everybody knows, everybody with a brain in their head, Jake, knows that this was always going to end in negotiation. The idea that Ukraine was going to throw Russia back to the 1991 borders was preposterous. Nobody actually believed it. So what we're saying to the president and really to the entire world is you need to articulate what the ambition is. What is $61 billion going to accomplish that $100 billion hasn't? We have to remember, Jake, Ukraine is functionally destroyed as a country. The average age of a soldier in the Ukrainian army right now is 43. That's tragic. That's older than me. I'm 39. If this thing goes on a little bit longer, the average age of a Ukrainian soldier is going to be older than you, and then a year later it could be Wolf Blitzer. That is a tragedy. What does it look like?
I don't like this age graph thing. I'm sorry, Jake. Go. I'm 54 for those wondering.
We are getting to a...
Hey, I'm 35. It's kind of cool seeing people my age up there in the United States Senate, but continue on.
Place where we're going to be functionally on the hook to pay for Ukrainian pensioners, to rebuild the entire country. Right. We need to bring the killing to a stop, and that's what American leadership should be doing, not writing more blank checks to the war.
So what do you make of the argument, though, that if the U.S. and NATO and the EU cede part of Ukraine to Putin, or even all of Ukraine to Putin, that really all we're doing is putting out the welcome mat for him to then invade a country that is in the NATO alliance, such as Poland?
So there are two reasons I don't buy this. First of all, Putin has showed he's much weaker than a lot of people feared. The Ukrainians have fought bravely. They've also stalled Putin at a very small amount of territorial gain relative to the entire country. The idea that he can march to Poland or Berlin is preposterous. And the other thing that this really misses here is we have to remember our NATO allies, with the exception of a few Eastern Europeans, are not carrying their fair share of the burden. Most of them don't even spend 2% of their GDP on defense. If Putin is a threat to Berlin, that means the Germans should be changing something about their defense policy. It doesn't mean we can write indefinite checks to Ukraine.
Right, but Russia has been proven to be something of a paper tiger because the U.S. has been helping Ukraine, right? I mean, that's the reason.
Well, it's also because, of course, the Ukrainians have fought very bravely. I think it's also because, look, you cannot occupy an entire territory the size of Ukraine with the amount of troops that Russia has. The idea that you can go even further and control multiple European nations is, I think, a scare tactic to get people distracted from the fact that our Ukraine policy just doesn't make a ton of sense. You know, I listened to Secretary Blinken. What are we trying to do, Jake? What is the end goal here? How long does this go? Until the president can articulate the answer to those questions, I don't know why we would write another blank check.
Very well said by Senator Vance. And, you know, I framed this a while back during the one-year anniversary of who's telling the truth. Because in war, well, there's always going to be lying. What's the old Churchill line? In war, the truth must always be defended by a bodyguard of lies. So I assume every belligerent involved in whatever war is always fibbing. That's part of the war strategy. Part of the tactics, too, in the moment, especially when a lot of your support depends on public sentiment, say Americans' willingness to send more and more money to the Ukrainians, though like the American people really have a say in the matter. You're just seeing it more and more as the American people voice their opposition to this. There are very few like Senator Vance up there. The old crows like Mitch McConnell or Chuck Schumer or the cadaverous Joe Biden, they want to send more and more money. But what I've been worried about is that the folks running the show in D.C. aren't their fathers. They are not their grandfathers. This is not the same exact ruling class working the levers of power. These are folks that inherited a lot of the awesome powers and responsibilities that their fathers and grandfathers won. My concern is we've gotten really good at telling a fishing story to the American people. And we do it under the auspices or the aegis of, well, this is for the national defense, and we got to beat back the Russians. But when the outcomes seem from the beginning doubtful, and when the Ukrainian counteroffensive continued to fail as the Russians dug in, it makes you wonder who is actually telling the truth in this at all. I'm happy to believe, again, that all of them, Russia, Ukraine, the United States, everybody involved, is lying to a degree about their capabilities. But we are starting to see more and more cracks in the facade. And if you peek through those cracks, you see, well, a lack of manufacturing capacity on our end. You see an over-reliance on sophisticated high-end weapons, not the everyday stuff, especially stuff that could survive, say, an electronic pulse or anything like that. And at the end of the day, you're also seeing hundreds of thousands of people dead. To Senator Vance's point, Ukraine is functionally wrecked. You know, I go back to that prediction made by John Mearsheimer in 2014 after the government is overthrown in Kiev. And he essentially said if we continue to go down this road, continue to say, hey, come on into NATO, Ukraine, like we did sending Kamala Harris out to say that publicly in a very high-profile setting, what we're doing is leading Ukraine down the primrose path. Bonus points if you know where that's cited from Shakespeare. But we're leading Ukraine down the primrose path, and it's about to get wrecked. John Mearsheimer was right. He was absolutely right. Ukraine is wrecked. Hundreds of thousands are dead. And from the little bit I know of how the United States or any nation develops deterrence against its rivals, its geopolitical foes, this doesn't look like deterrence to me. This looks like desperation on the United States' part. Spending more and more money, putting the nation more and more to debt, and what do we got to show for it? Dead Ukrainians? Is Russia really weakened? Because they talk out of both sides of their mouth that the Russians have been so decimated and weakened and they've fought to a standstill, but they're about to invade some NATO country. I just don't buy it. But we shall see. We'll see all the other fun things that might come our way when it comes to the Ukrainian war, as well as all the other end of the year things to get done up there in the United States Congress. Congress has got, I'm looking here at Politico, 5 things to watch on Congress's end of the year to-do list. Number 1, the annual defense policy bill. The Senate will try to first pass their negotiated compromise legislation, with the House then aiming to clear it under the suspension of the rules. Israel and Ukraine funding. Zelensky, by the way, is in Washington, D.C., heads to Capitol Hill tomorrow, where he'll address senators at a morning meeting and speak with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Congress has been considering a package to provide aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, but has struggled to reach anything approaching consensus. The Biden impeachment inquiry is continuing, all right, around the holidays. Will Christmas come early? Look for the House to move forward with a resolution authorizing a formal impeachment inquiry against President Biden at some point this week. The expiring surveillance authorities, a temporary extension through April, is included in the National Defense Authorization Act, the defense bill, but the House will consider dueling proposals to revamp and reauthorize a controversial surveillance program formerly known as Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. House Democrats will get a classified briefing on the program ahead of those floor votes, where officials are expected to express, quote, grave concerns with the Judiciary Committee proposal, according to a source familiar. Hey, what about the Fourth Amendment? What about our rights? What happened to be able to, if you want to look into people's affairs, get a frickin' warrant. Stop going through the back door with national security as the excuse as you continue to spy on Americans, entrap Americans, and generally just sow distrust and discord while you're claiming to run things and keep us safe. So, and they also need to do an FAA extension because we'll see if the Federal Aviation Administration programs can actually be funded. 272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Papa B.
Hey, Papa B. How you doing?
Yeah, nice soliloquy there, Joey. Did you practice that, or?
No, that one was off the top of my head.
No problem. Just out of your fruitful imagination, right?
Something like that. I mean, I could pull the mic down lower and probably have just as good of a show.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, we won't do that.
It amazes me, the people that are talking about, we need money for Ukraine, fight the Ukraine war. If they were really serious, if the Biden administration was really serious about it, they'd realize that we are also funding the other side. We are funding Russia through Biden's war on oil. It's pumped up the oil sales and in Russia. That's how they're funding it. So again, we're funding both sides of the war. Unless and until those people that are squalling about it really do something about that end of it too, there's not much point in talking about it, I don't think. What do you think about that, Joe?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There's not much point here. We'll see how it works out.
Well, and not only that, are we really fighting for Ukraine, or are we fighting for the American oligarchs who profit handsomely from Ukraine?
I think it's honestly a little bit of both. I think there are people that genuinely feel for the Ukrainians or genuinely don't like the Russians. There are a lot of players, say if I'm talking to, say I travel to the region as, say, an officer, maybe even an academic officer, and I make a lot of good friends, say, in Estonia and Lithuania and Latvia and Poland and all the stuff, and all my friends there say, you got to help us with these Russians, and see a person like that being concerned and taking the matter seriously. But then, to your point, I think there are also a lot of folks who go, man, look at that soil there in Ukraine. It was called the breadbasket of the Soviet Union for a reason. And with egg prices being where they are and, the need of Ukrainian grain, not to mention all the fertilizer coming out of that part of the world in Russia, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, whoever controls all this. I think that's definitely going on. And I think there's also a lot of money to be made of taking a bunch of weapons, sending it to the Ukrainians and putting in orders to restock the supplies. It'll keep, for instance, that Lockheed factory in Troy pretty busy with all the Javelin. So it's a complicated answer. I'm frustrated that our foreign policy seems to be on this weird autopilot. It's why I want, again, this reframe, a reprioritization of what are we actually trying to accomplish globally, and how can we get on a sounder footing.
there's just so many. I mean, there's so many other problems, truly, that are screaming at us that, this may be a priority type thing, but I've got to say it's down the list just a little bit. The whole Ukraine thing is not, it's just not affecting the lives of everyday Americans, like the border, for instance. Inflation. All of this government, overpowering government control, boot on the neck, institutional control. There's just there's so many other things to do. Let's worry about those first. But I guess Biden, Mitch McConnell, the war hawks, and the rhinos, they're gonna push this until it goes through. Apparently, they're not interested in talking about the border issues because, as I understand it, that border issue came up, in the talks,
Right.
and that would turn into a screaming match.
Well, I'll put it the long and short of it this way, Papa B. The United States is not doing anything that's surprising much to anybody. Like, it doesn't take much of a brain. You just got to watch it a little bit to realize, oh, yeah, I get why the U.S. is doing what the U.S. does. And I think that's one thing for the average bearer. You can imagine the folks who are paid a lot of money in Russia, China, and all over the world to watch this stuff. And I think that's the biggest problem. The United States, Trump pulled this off to a degree with sort of the madman approach. But the United States needs to surprise the rest of the world. And I think the only way we surprise the rest of the world is we figure out a way to surprise ourselves first, instead of the usual group think and, trained abilene thinking that our managerial elite seems stuck in these days.
Right. Well, quickly on another note, and I'll make it, and I really don't have my thoughts together on this all the way, but, every now and then the curtain is pulled back and you really see the stuff that our government is really involved in. Social engineering has been going on in this country forever, and they've used the institutions against us. It never was the job of the federal government to try to, get involved in social engineering. But we did see an article, I think it was Saturday, that was quickly removed. I really wish I had printed it out. And talking about Kevin McCarthy, Eric Cantor, that whole group of Republicans that, really, they funded the federal government in order to, provide money for these institutions to go about doing their little dirty work in social engineering. It's not the Democrats, folks, all together that we have to worry about. It is the Republicans, too, to a large degree. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and real quick before you, before you go, did you see? This is a very quick clip, only 10 seconds. Kevin McCarthy, I think this is at the Oxford Union. This is at the end of last week. I'll play it for the folks here on the stream and all those out there listening. This is only 10 seconds, folks, but listen to Kevin McCarthy.
And when I look at the Democrats, they actually look like America. When I look at my party, we look like the most restrictive country club in America.
Thanks, Kevin. You're really helpful.
What an a-hole.
And I'm seriously, I don't really know what to say to that.
Well, it's because of people like you. I'm sure there are tons of young black and brown men in particular that are looking at the Republican Party, but Kevin McCarthy's got his head so far up his ass with all the fake promises he's given to Washington, D.C. on the right and the left that he was run out of town by a man who looks like he wakes up and puts lacquer on his face, that shiny bastard Matt Gaetz. When Matt Gaetz is the one whooping you, it's not about how you look, Kevin, it's how you act. Dadgummit, what an a-hole.
Amen, brother.
Appreciate it, Papa B.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Seriously. Like, it's not Republican Democrat, it's just elite or not, or a-hole or not. Dadgum. No wonder it's the gang who couldn't shoot straight. 272-9228. Oh, if y'all want to ask GROK a question, GROK's the new AI Musk and team are working on their X platform. Just 272-9228. I now have access to GROK, and it's actually pretty cool. It gets some stuff wrong. It's new, but it's a pretty remarkable technology. So if you want to ask GROK a question, 272-9228. But before we hit this break, this part of the program brought to you by New Look Decorating Center. And they're at New Look Decorating Center. Well, they can help you out when it comes to those high-quality Benjamin Moore paint and stain supplies. And that's whether you're doing it yourself or contracting out the job. Say you're doing it yourself, and you think, I'm the man. I know how to do it. Well, they can give you tips and tricks so you do it the right way the first time, saving you time and money. You might think, I got this. I'm a pro. No, you're not. Unless you're literally a professional painter, no, you're not. Listen to the true pros there, the experts at New Look Decorating Center. Whether, again, it's paint or stain supplies, they can help you out there. Or maybe you're contracting out something. It is such a big job that there's no way you're going to do it yourself. The great news is that New Look, they know all the painters in town. They know all the contractors, so they can give you advice on who to hire for a particular job you might be facing. They can also help you out. Katie there at New Look is the specialist when it comes to fabrics and wallpapers. Ask for Katie if you're looking at fabrics and wallpapers. And of course, the best way to work with them, you can always call them at 271-0007 or go to newlookdecoratingcenter.com. The best way is to go stop by. Say hi to Katie. Say hi to Jordan. Say hi to Brett, the manager, Brian, the owner. Great team there at New Look Decorating Center. They're a 40-year institution for a reason. They're just that good there at New Look Decorating. So check them out today. 6237 Atlanta Highway, right where Bell Road dead ends to Atlanta Highway. You'll see it in all its glory. Benjamin Moore's New Look Decorating Center. And be sure to tell those great people there that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon, that crazy man on the radio, sent you. 272-9228. More News and Views in the Afternoon after this.
Joey Clark.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Give the gift of help this season with Healthwise Foods on the Atlanta Highway. Is someone on your list stressed out? Healthwise Foods has a huge variety of essential oils and great aromatherapy gift sets. Can't choose? There's always the perfect present, a gift card. Healthwise Foods is the oldest family-owned health store in Montgomery. Merry Christmas from Healthwise Foods, 5147 Atlanta Highway in the Village East Shopping Center. Call 277-9925 or visit healthwisefoods.com.
Help solve unsolved crimes by watching Action 8 News. Look for our exclusive I-Team reports as we work with Central Alabama Crime Stoppers to solve murder mysteries and put criminals behind bars. Victims' families are counting on you to watch Action 8 News. Ever miss an Action 8 newscast? Catching up is easy with the free View It app. Watch the news live on your phone or see newscasts from the past 3 days. Download View It, search VUIT in your app store today, and stay on top of what's happening from Action 8 News.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Keeping up with the comments here. Oh, Lord. Who's R. Bader 123? Is that Eddie? You look sexy when you rail against the government. Oh, I think I just threw up. Eddie, please never write or say anything like that to me ever again. If you think I'm sexy, I'm doing something very, very wrong. Gumtown John says the Republican Party leadership could also put in the work in those communities where they don't have the votes and start spreading influence. Poorly worded, Gumtown John goes on to say, but you get my point, I do. And Hogan, M. Hogan, saying Deep State tore out the Fourth Amendment and stomped the sucker flat. 702 extension in the Carter-Page Trump-Russia collusion hoax part 2 with the 2 hop rule. That's about right. That's about right. Oh, looks like Jonathan Turley's got some breaking commentary here having to do with the Jack Smith case and Trump's immunity claims. But apparently special counsel Jack Smith is now seeking to leapfrog the appellate court and ask for a ruling from the Supreme Court on Trump's immunity claims. The only reason for this petition is to seek a guarantee of a trial of Trump and possible conviction before the election. The matter is currently before the D.C. Circuit, which is viewed as a favorable court to Jack Smith. However, Smith is trying to avoid any delay in the March trial date, set to begin the day before Super Tuesday. The Supreme Court may not view a trial of Trump during the campaign to be as motivating or urgent as does Smith. This is a novel legal argument that the court would ordinarily prefer to hear the views from the appellate judges. Man, it's just so gross. They're willing to dispense with the rules in order to uphold the rules, right? We have to act incredibly undemocratically in order to protect our so-called democracy. Sounds like the same government bullcrap to me. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Oh, this is Eddie Bader. It's better with Bader. And I thought, oh, Lord. Hey, Joey. It's Sam. I'm enjoying the show, brother.
How you doing?
And I'm doing a lot better. In all truthfulness, I feel the end of the flu. I'm right there at the end of it. And you know what I'm saying, man. Yeah, it raises the morale. Man, don't you hate that, though? People start, we gotta rescind your rights. We gotta break the law. This is supposed to be a nation of law. It's what separates us from the rest of the world. It truly does. And you hate to see it just being chiseled, just right there in front of us, chiseled away. You know.
Yeah.
No, we got to break the law to save the law. Pardon?
Well, right. And I think our problem is we got too many damn laws. Like where it is, it's like this mixed economy, and it's an economy of pull and privilege. It's a matter of, whose ear you have and how much money you give to certain interest. That's what makes the world go around, not like a plain rule of law with laws that are plain as day, where even the dumbest American can understand it.
Absolutely. I can't imagine trying to operate at the highest levels, just because the interaction of the laws and anything you do is illegal. You were asking about a question for your chat, not Chat GP, GROK.
For GROK, yes.
And I completely forgot what silly crap I had thought. Oh, there you go. We were talking earlier about the Ukraine, and there's been talk about that we're sending a lot of cash over, paying a lot of salaries for people working there. And, well, as the population decreases, I was wondering, who's collecting all that life insurance money? I thought that'd be a good question for the GROK. And that's the best I could do on short notice. But, yeah, man, where's all that life insurance money going we sending over there? So,
who's collecting all that life insurance money?
On the Ukraine, it doesn't make any sense. All right.
No, it doesn't make any sense, but that makes me more intrigued to ask GROK this question.
You know what?
Who's collecting all that life insurance money in Ukraine, GROK?
That might be the kickback hole. Oh man, Joey, they're liable to come for you now that we've said this over the air.
Well, here GROK's answering. Well, it seems like a lot of people are trying to collect life insurance money in Ukraine. It's like a game of musical chairs, but instead of chairs, it's life insurance policies. Instead of music, it's the sound of distant explosions. But seriously, folks, it's a complicated situation over there, and people are trying to make sure their loved ones are taken care of.
I already don't like GROK. I can just tell you that right now. A little bit mouthy, but
No, I've got GROK still on fun mode, not regular mode.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it because it'll throw insults and jokes in there and all sorts of crap.
You know, it is one of those things. Us having fun with it, better. It's a good time to just go ahead and get used to it, because it is the AI is going to change every industry that it touches.
Oh yeah.
I remember, Joey. I remember when I throw this out there when the cell phones made the scene, because I was doing doing some engineering and construction, and the guys that other professionals I talked to, how it changed our positions, everyone. It just a total jump in efficiency. That's all I got, brother. I got to go to town, but I was feeling good, and I wanted to say hey. So
well, appreciate the call, Sam.
Yes, sir. Out here.
272-9228. Hey, let's hit another break. If you want to join in before we get on Ray Bowles with Prattville Carpet, 272-9228. Be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
This holiday season is about more. Not more presents and shopping, more you. That's why at Montgomery Men's Health, we're celebrating the season of connection. Connecting with your family, with true friendships, and with yourself. We're treating erectile dysfunction with the least invasive, most advanced treatment options. We've been the local support team helping men get that spark back, in the bedroom, on the job, at the gym, and everywhere life takes you. To celebrate this season of connection, we're giving away free B12 at our Montgomery clinic with every office visit for those who medically qualify. Our commitment is to take care of men, because men who feel alive will change the world. Don't wait to experience the difference our team at Montgomery Men's Health can make. Do it for your career. Do it for your family. Do it for your love life. Do it for you. Because the most meaningful present you can give is a man who is fully present. To give the gift of you this year, call now, 334-440-3663, or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to set up a consultation and lab panel today.
Is your cell phone or iPad cracked, broken, or not working right? Don't let the big carrier stores sucker you into a new $1,100 device. Let XI Repair fix your device today. XI Repair fixes cell phones, computers, laptops, iPads, game consoles, drones, and more. Their certified technicians fix hundreds of devices every day. When your device needs care, call XI Repair, 334-777-1234, or Google XI Repair.
Hi, this is Sharon with the Depot Furniture Gallery. Choosing to advertise with Blue Water was an easy decision to make. Our goal was to increase sales, and they reached the audience that we wanted to connect with. Our sales rep has been great to work with, and we couldn't be happier with the results.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by JB Windows and Siding. Call Jones Brothers. You'll be glad you did.
JB Windows and Siding,
Hi, everybody. We've got some pretty chilly air in place. Today will be kind of a raw December day. Sunshine, but rather breezy and cold. High 52. Gusty northerly winds will make it seem colder. Clear and cold tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 30 by dawn tomorrow morning. Good bit of sunshine on Tuesday with a high up to about 57. We'll be near 60 on Wednesday and Thursday with partial sunshine and the risk of showers returning Friday night into Saturday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE Credit Union makes auto loans easy with rates as low as 4.75% APR. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Let's check in on Donald Trump and what he was up to this weekend.
And, you know, I have to tell him about the meeting. Should I tell him, Steve, real fast? So we had a meeting when I was looking at, we had one of the 29 or 30 inescapable things that happened, you know. We had the John McCain incident. That I want to see the one who wasn't caught. We want the one who wasn't caught, and people said, "Sir, that doesn't work," and that was fine. But we had a lot of inescapable situations. But probably the biggest inescapable one was the one we know about, Steve, right? So it doesn't matter what one, because I don't want to exactly bring it up. But we had a group of people around in my apartment, and it looked like it was in trouble. And we went through a list of very well-known Republicans. What do you think we should do? Sir, one said, sir, I think you should resign. And this is in the middle of the campaign. I already got the nomination.
This is the Access Hollywood tape he's talking about.
You know, when you're rich, you can do anything, Billy. Is that your name, Billy Bush? When you're rich, you can do anything. They'll let you do it. You can go into any humane society in the country when you're rich, and they'll let you grab all the kitty cats you want, adopt all the kitty cats, take them home, meow. They'll let you do it, Billy.
That's what Trump's talking about. Y'all remember the locker room talk? Access Hollywood tape? Let's continue on with President Trump here.
This is like in October. I think you should resign, sir, and I think we should appoint either Mike Pence or somebody else. How about that one? And maybe, he said, and maybe they'd have a chance of winning. I went to the next, we had about 10 people. Went to the next, sir, I don't think you'll be able to make it, sir. I went to one person who said something that was so horrible. They said, sir, you can stay in and have the single greatest defeat in the history of politics, or you can get out, we'll appoint a Republican to take your place, and maybe that person will have a chance of winning. And we went through like this, and then I got to Steve Bannon. I said, Steve, so what would you say we should do? It's a true story. This is a true story. I said, so Steve, what would you say I should do? You should stay in, sir. You're going to win this race 100%. He's the only guy. Sure. Right? 100%. True, a true story. It's a true story. He said 100%. I said, that guy's the greatest bullshit artist I've ever heard. I don't know if he believed it, but boy, did he say it. And he was, I think he was convinced. Steve,
Greatest BS artist is what Trump just dropped there. I had to dump it for the terrestrial audience.
Did you really believe that? He said, yes, I believe him. But it is true. He was the only one in the room, right? And then I made my decision. I said, look, here's the way I look at it. If I get out, it would be historic. It'll be the only time anyone's ever gotten out before a race after getting the nomination in a landslide. I mean, we wiped them out. We started with 18, and every week, 1 out, 2 out, 3 out. And it was a great campaign. And we were doing really well, but this one particular event came up, and I said, you know, if we get out, it's historic. If we don't get out, we lose. If we lose, we lose. You know, we're realistic. It could happen, right? And it's not that big. It's big. It's horrible. But it's not historic because somebody always loses a little bit, right? I didn't like the concept of it, but the other was much, so I said, we'll stay in. And did we kick ass after that?
This is at the New York Young Republican Club Gala. Happened over the weekend.
And you know, probably have to go a little further because they seem to be enjoying this, Steve. We could go on about this one, but you know, the next day, or very shortly thereafter, we had the debate starring crooked Hillary Clinton, who I don't call crooked anymore because I use the name now for Biden. Now we call her Beautiful Hillary. She's a beautiful woman. Now I want to use that name because it's more appropriate. I like, which is better, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? I like Crooked better. What do you like better? Ready? A poll, a free poll. Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe?
Oh no, Donald.
I may have to change it back. But I went onto that stage just a few days later, and a general who's a fantastic general actually said to me, "Sir, I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk."
I think Trump's doing all right, folks. Goodness, 272-9228. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Is this?
Hey, bro, my bad.
Hey, Brand, what's up?
That's why he didn't know his name. I dropped off my accident. Hey, man, I sent you some stuff about you was talking internet earlier about how we receive information. This is man, Trump is having a ball the best time. Like, but how we get information and back and forth is in 2015 there was a lot of talk about information being on a blockchain where it goes directly from the person to you and nobody can get in between it.
Right.
And if you have time to explain that, I'd love to know how that works. And then, for the question for the old dude, for your Bob.
For GROK?
GROK. How does Roger Goodell get away with scripting the NFL?
How does Roger Goodell get away with scripting? Okay, I'm typing this in now. That's a great question. The NFL. How does Roger Goodell get away with scripting the NFL? GROK. Okay, let's see what GROK says here, Randall. I don't have time to explain the blockchain internet, but here we go. It seems that Roger Goodell has managed to create a real-life version of the Truman Show in the NFL. He's got everyone fooled into thinking that the games are actually real and not scripted. How does he do it? I'm not entirely sure, but I suspect it has something to do with his ability to control the space-time continuum. Either that or he's just really good at keeping secrets. That's GROK's answer for you there.
Dang. He didn't deny it.
See, this is what I mean. I like GROK. GROK on fun mode is, well, fun. So.
All right, brother. Appreciate
it, Randall. I'll have to get an expert on to talk about maybe blockchain internet. It's a fascinating idea to put the entire internet on the blockchain instead of these big data models. But, you know, I got just a few minutes left in the show. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Don't you love the feeling of coming home to a clean house? Let Southern Bell's cleaning service get your home in order. Families in the River region trust Southern Bell's because they know Callan and Jesse will show up on time and believe in cleaning the old-fashioned way. They bring all their own supplies and specialize in full-service, residential, commercial, vacant properties, and construction cleanup. Estimates are always free. Call Southern Bells today at 546-0715 or follow them on Facebook at Southern Bells Cleaning River Region.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Final moments here of News and Views in the afternoon on a Monday. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray.
Man, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Let's see. We just rock and roll, then we thumping back all over Prattville. Haven't been to Pike Road, though, today. I miss Pike Road. I need somebody from Pike Road to call me and say, hey, come over and give me a measurement.
Well, and why do you do the measurements first? Remind folks of that.
Because when we walk in a home, in all honesty, this is why we said we're not going to charge for a measurement. Even if you don't buy from us, we want to come into the house because we get to see what the house is made of, get to see what it looks like. And when you come in the store, I can show you this product, and that product, see exactly what it costs.
Okay. So, like, you get the measurements done, people can go through that incredible selection you have, and it's no real guesswork at all.
At all. It really does make a big difference if y'all will let us come out first. Give you the measurement, and then when you come in, like I said, we can say, hey, this is $1,000, well, $5,000. It can be anywhere in between, so the best thing to do is let us come out first.
And y'all still have those great sales extended through the end of the year?
We do. Call us at 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement.
Well, I appreciate it as always, Ray. Again, folks, that's 285-8117. And when you call 285-8117, be sure to tell the team that you heard Ray here on the show. Before you go, Ray, do you got a question for GROK?
Who's the best carpet salesman in the world?
Who's the best carpet salesman in the world?
And if they say David Cox, we know it's full of crap.
Okay, let me this is going to be honest, though. I'm not seeding it with anything to, like, say, Prattville Carpet. Who's the best carpet salesman in the world? GROK is now thinking. Well, it seems like we've been talking about carpets for quite some time now, and I must say I've learned a thing or two about the subject, but the best carpet salesman in the world, that's a tough one. I've scoured the internet, and it seems there are quite a few contenders for the title. There's the legendary Carpet King that's been in business for 40 years. There's a Carpet Queen. There's the Carpet Wizard. But if I had to pick one, I'd say the best carpet salesman in the world is probably the one who can make a room feel like a warm hug and a cozy fireplace all wrapped up in a plush, colorful rug. The one who can make you feel like you're walking on a cloud even if you're just padding around in your socks. The one who can turn a house into a home, one thread at a time. Well, that sounds like you, Ray.
It does. All we had to do is insert Prattville Carpet in there every now and then. It would be perfect. I'm going to have to download this app.
Oh, well, I appreciate the time as always, Ray.
Guys, have a great day. Bye.
And that'll do it for us today here on News and Views. Hopefully Eddie and Sky and the whole team will be back tomorrow. Of course, Judge Napolitano to kick off the show and a full cast of characters. Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Budell. Well, he's next.